Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Soft Talks with Joy and Sean. We're glad to have you here today. And it's the beginning of June already. Is this like crazy or what?
June 1st.
I
Wow.
know. I know. It's like we're going to be halfway through the year in another.
Yeah, July 4th, and then your summer's almost over, and we
I
could
know.
still
I
enjoy it down
know.
here in the
It's
weather.
crazy. And it's so funny now, yeah, of course, everybody knows, most people know, I worked in retail for 20 plus years, and everyone talks about how they push retail, and how you get these holidays and all this kind of stuff. And I can remember July, you had two counters of Christmas set up.
Mhm.
You had two, and I used to think how crazy that is. Well, now I'm not
Because
in
it's
that
Christmas in
anymore.
July.
Well, I know there is Christmas on now. See, that's why. See, somebody actually took that and said, "Hey, let's do a spin on this. If you're putting
Right.
Christmas decorations out there,
And you know that
let's
came
make it
from
Christmas
retail.
in
Absolutely.
July."
We get rid
And
of
do
last
that.
year's stuff that
But
we didn't
now
sell.
I know. But now it's like even crazier because our minds are going like the first thing that you said is like, you know, I guess I said 6 months. 6 months from now
Yeah,
is like Christmas. Then we got Christmas July, and then all of a sudden we're back to school,
yep,
and da da da,
absolutely.
anyways, okay, we're going off on a tangent. Yeah.
Wow, that's shocking.
We can wind it around to what we were going to talk about today, and that's
Sure.
just like, how do you invite people to look at send out cards promptings, send out cards, what do you do? I mean, everybody's different and every situation is different. So Sean, kind of share because I guess you just had an experience with somebody you had no idea who they were.
So I always, in a big BNI group. So the initial one-to-ones with new members or anybody that I've met and I'm doing a Zoom with or I'm meeting live, I'm not going in to show them promptings and send out cards on that first initial. That's all about, building a relationship, getting to know what they do, how can I help you, learn about that person. And I always lead, at the end, and then, obviously they're going to ask questions. What do you do? Tell me about this. And I just say, look, send outs really, I really want to show you send out cards. So let's schedule another time because I can't tell you how many times I've talked about send out cards. I've held up cards and you do a one-to-one or you're walking somebody through. Do I need their email address? No, that's why I want to show you. So you can and I usually lead it like, look, let me show you. That way you can see how easy it is, understand how it works and how people can use it. And you may know some people. That way you can refer to me, just like I'm learning about you. So that's how I use it on people that um, first meeting always. Now sometimes they're like, "Well, can we do it now?" They'll sure, okay. And then people that I know, I mean, if you're just starting out, if you know people, and you used to, what do we used to say? Who could you call and they would bail you out of jail? Great. That's who you're going to call and say, look, I'm going to show you this. I want your opinion. So if it's somebody you're close with or you've built a relationship with, hey, I got started with something new. I'd love to show you and get your opinion on it. Walk them through, but it's the same thing after that. Having them send a card, showing them the subscriptions and the card packages, you're doing the same thing. And it's good for you if you're new because you're going through and you're getting your little twist on it. And you're, okay, I don't need to say that next time. I need to make it quicker, like everybody's telling me to do, So I think if you know the people, then you just go in and say, hey, I want to show you something. That's how I do it. So how about you?
Well, probably the same way, but one thing I usually do ahead of time with somebody new is I make sure I get a card in their hand. When if I've met them and we're planning to do a
Depending
one-to-one.
on the timing,
Yeah,
right?
it's
You know,
all in the timing, we're both in BNI and I do the speed networking in BNI on Tuesdays at 4, not every week, but many times. And I'll have several people that I want to reach out to, or they've said, hey, let's schedule one-to-one, blah, 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 and it's like, then it's just like a touch and go on when those get
sure.
scheduled. But I always go back and I find I find their address, get that information already out to them. So when we're able to have that conversation, they've already had a card in their hand, or they've experienced what it's like to receive that card. And and sometimes that kind of leads that when I sit down with them for the first time, even though I go in with the same kind of thing as you do, Sean, it's like, you know what, I want to learn about them, I want to build that relationship, I want to start making those notes, and on that person, so that I have a feel for how I can help them,
Sure.
even though they're across the country, or
Or
whatever.
would I want to work with them?
Or what I want, that's exactly, I mean, that's always in the back of your mind.
You
It's like,
maybe that is you don't offer the walk. No, I'm just so,
yeah,
so you
well,
can
you know
tell right
what?
away, like,
It's very true. I mean, there's people, it's just like, you know what?
it's our business. Work with who you want to work with.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
beauty of
exactly,
this.
exactly. But so then I apply that. And then
Yeah,
if the card comes up and they say that, I said, well, I'd love the opportunity to share that with you
yeah,
sometime. We can schedule another one-to-one. I usually do say right in there too. I said, or if you have time now, I'd be glad to. And I just kind of leave it there. And 9 times out of 10, they want to see it.
right.
9 times out of 10 they do, and we flip, where we're usually on Zoom, obviously, because they're not somebody close to me. And I flip the screen to have them share it, I have them go to my promptings.com site, and we go through the whole process, and go through there. But I think it is very, very important that you don't start out with that. Just start, well, hey, let me show you, let me
No,
show.
because that's not, you want to build that relationship. I mean, if you do it right and build that relationship, they're more apt to sign up as a customer. They don't feel ambushed. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been presented with a couple things like, hey, long time ago, hey, you mind if I stop by? I want to show you something. Sure. And I open the door and there's two people standing there. I'm like, really, dude?
I know,
Really?
and then we
You
know what's
know?
happening.
Or there's another person on the Zoom. Like if anybody says, hey, can you help me walk this person through? It's going to be scheduled for next Thursday. Great. But you make sure that they know I'm going to be there prior to me just popping in on the Zoom.
Yes, yes,
You never want to feel like an ambush when with somebody.
yeah.
And if you're not comfortable doing, your first few walkthroughs, if you're brand new, get your upline or get somebody you connect with within Sendout. Hey, can you help me? Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're here for. And
Right,
that shows that
right, right,
person
right.
that's sending the card that wow, they're not in there by themselves. So
Yeah, and that brings up another point too. One word we're saying we don't want to be ambushed by the third person. The second time we're saying it's important to have somebody on a call. So if you're starting out at the beginning and to help you, the point of what you were saying to just kind of emphasize it more. It's like make sure they know, like, hey, I'm
right,
just starting out. I've got my friend, my partner Sean, or my colleague Joy. I'm going to have them on the call with me so I can learn from them as well. Is
yeah,
that okay with you? Kind of a thing.
right,
Just get open and open about it, and there's not going to be a lot of people that say, "Oh no, I'm not interested in that."
right.
I
Now
mean, it's just
most
not,
people
because
see it.
you started building a relationship to begin with by telling them this is the way it's going to happen, or this is what I would like to have happen. Is that okay with you? Kind of a thing. And I think that's important to do that. Um,
And
I had
it's
at my BNI meeting here recently, I took, instead of looking at how we can help their business, I kind of went on a different angle with it a little bit and just said, I said, the way this world is, there's a lot of negativity, no, so many people, there's a very high percentage of people that don't feel appreciated or don't even feel like they're seen,
right.
kind of a thing. And it's important that we do something for them, and we've got that tool to do it.
Hmm.
Of course, how many in your room felt that way when you got something from me? I said, but you know what? There's another piece to that. And the other piece to that is how you feel doing it.
Right.
How do you feel doing that for that person?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more behind just you making that person feel good. You're doing something for yourself and your inner self by doing something like that. And I said, so I ended it. I said to them, I said, so what I'm looking for is that person that's depressed, that person that needs a little bit of assistance to make them feel better, because
Well,
I
you heard
can
it.
help them and I can help them further.
Yeah, you heard it both on from Matthew and Melanie on the call Wednesday or the webinar Wednesday, where they both have sent cards and they both got a call back or a voicemail or a text or an email on what that card meant to that person.
That's exactly
So, I
right.
mean, it's almost selfish when you send cards because you're like, you feel good when you do it, and then you get it back if the person calls you or emails you, you're
You
like,
feel even better,
I got
right?
it
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, yeah. I
Why
tell
isn't
people.
everybody a card sender?
When I'm training someone or someone says to me new in it, and it's just like, well, I sent out all these cards and nobody's getting back to me. Nobody's saying. I said, then you're not doing them for the right reason. I said, you don't send a card to expect to hear
To
back.
get it right. No, yeah, that is the caveat to,
Yeah.
can't
I
wait to
said,
hear from them.
yeah, exactly. I said, you're not doing it to hear back from them, but you know what? When you do hear back from them, it's like the cherry on top of a sundae.
Absolutely. And you don't hear
I
back from
mean,
everybody, even if you're
no,
sending it for the right reasons, but you
no,
know that you are having an impact. You know,
yes.
they're just not trained like we are to say the nice things until your funeral. You're going to, there'll be card recipients at your funeral lined up to say how you made them feel over the years by sending them cards, but
Yeah.
they never told you when you were alive. We just got to deal with that. That's how a lot of people operate.
Yeah,
So that's okay.
exactly, exactly.
So
And I'm sure, Sean, you're in the same position as many people that have had this attitude and sending cards like this for years. Is there any place you go in a crowd that somebody doesn't come up and say something to you?
I had 3 people at my BNI Friday morning. Hey, thanks for that card. I really appreciate that. Or
Yeah.
hey, thanks for this. Yeah, the stuff you go to, and if you're right. I mean, hey, thanks for that card. I'm like, that was 6 months ago. But
And
that just tells you the value
oh
and the
yeah,
impact
yeah.
these have.
Yeah, I had somebody just the other day message me. She says, Joy, thanks for the birthday wish. It was a birthday wish I put on Facebook, and she says, and she said, and by the way, thanks for the cards, and but more importantly, thanks for all the cards that you've sent me.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, and it's like, and I had somebody the other day say, I have every one of them. I saved every one of them. Boy, I mean, that just like that tears at your heart. It's
right.
like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we made that kind of an impact with them.
So let's
So
take this full circle. If that's if that's where you're coming from to send out cards with people, then it's going to be easier to set appointments to send out cards and promptings with people. If
yeah,
you're in the mindset that I want to share promptings and send out cards because I need to make more money, just like anything else, that's going to make it more difficult. But
yep.
if I take that, we're sharing promptings with millions of people.
Hmm.
Take that to heart, and that's what your job is.
Hmm.
And it's a ripple effect. If maybe it's, you never know, walking somebody through sending a card, and whoever's getting that card, what an impact that. And maybe they never even, the person you shared never even does promptings and send out cards, but it had a ripple effect on the person they sent it to that had an effect on people and you'll never know that, but know that that's happening.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. It's so true. And obviously in June we've got a lot of graduations and all that kind of stuff going on. And I know one of the things that I got in the habit of doing way back, at the beginning of COVID, especially, when nobody was getting out, people were doing graduations in very different ways
yeah,
because of all that. But I made sure that the grad people that I knew on Facebook and their children, I would send a graduation card and message inside, but I always was sending Cody's Power Human Connection book,
yeah,
along with it, kind of thing. And I still do that today.
yeah.
No matter what, I still do that day. And it's really interesting this year, more than the COVID years, I'm getting a lot of conversation back. I'm getting thanks from the parents. I'm getting thanks from the special notes from the kids, kind of thing. And it's ironic because you would have thought people had more time to do that kind of stuff during COVID. You know, it's
Maybe
like,
they realize because of COVID what
yeah,
this
yeah,
more so, you
yeah.
know. So
Exactly, exactly. So it's like really cool. And somebody asked me the other day that knew what I was doing. She says, well, how do you get the address of the children, especially in college? I mean, they're obviously not living at home and everything. I said, for me, I almost always send it to the parent. Well, yeah, ask, but I now what I do is I send it to the parent, and in
right,
the company field, big letters, I said, deliver to your son, da da
right.
da, deliver to your daughter, so and so, deliver to you, whatever, kind of a thing. And maybe that's why I'm getting so many conversations back about the parents,
Maybe.
saying something how
Yep.
nice it was. I don't know, but it's nice to know that it's being appreciated.
Absolutely.
And it's just nice to know that we're getting something powerful in young people's hands,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
you
I wish
know.
I would have had that at 18.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
wouldn't have read it, but I wish I would have had it at 18.
yeah, yeah. You might have read it 14 years later,
Still works
You
though.
might have read it when you're finally down at the beach, Sean.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, just do it for the right reasons,
Yep. Absolutely.
and
And if you have anybody out there has ways that you set appointments and how you do it, please put it. We're helping each other. So
yeah, exactly. Everybody's gonna be a little different, but your mindset
yep.
of how you start talking with them, relationships should be written across your hat. I know you have
Right.
problems across yours, but it's like, it's all about building those relationships
Yep.
first. This must be the last day of school. Kids are coming home at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Or it's senior skip day. I had a lot of
Well,
people, a lot of graduation parties last weekend. Kids have been
oh,
out.
there's been a lot of graduation
Seniors.
parties starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, anyways, all
All right.
good.
Focus.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Happy June 1st.
Yep. See you
Have a
soon.
good one.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.